Okay, welcome back to turn 5 of this game. I think the dictatorship are up against the wall now. They've only got 3 bases of foot troops left in the farm and this lone T-55, which did come out on top of the armoured duel down on this flank, but the People's Popular Front have got this swarm of militia coming. And a really untouched unit of infantry just here, about to take the town of Solace. So okay, let's see how things go though. So we always start with the attacker, and we will start in the middle, I think, with this unit of infantry who've got a tank bearing down on it. So they're going to run headlong for the town here. Let's see if they make it. And no, they're not going to make it. Well, a couple of them might actually. Yep, we'll get a couple of bases in, I think. In fact, most of the bases. The machine gun won't, and this rocket RPG is going to go there because it's going to try and, so this is the RPG base here. It's going to try and take a shot there. Okay, I think the tank might well stand its ground. Actually, Toyota here, so you can't see that. There you go, the Toyota's coming down here to take on these guys. So this unit here is going to be stuck in combat, which leaves Unit 5 for the dictatorship to see what it can do to stop the People's Popular Front that have taken into the town now, and also the horde of militia. So let's see what they roll for movement. They roll 3, so that's 5 inches. Let's just pop this down here. 5 inches for movement here, and that will be 6 inches for the technical, which is going to have a little duel with the Toyota, I think. Okay, here we go then for the huge unit of militia. 5, so that's 7 inches for the militia. Okay, so I have completed movement. I did say I wasn't going to show that, but the militia have sprinted on towards the centre of the table. The train station is not held at the moment, and that is an objective. And those 2 trucks with the recoilless rifles have come on. I do have to roll for the reinforcements for the People's Popular Front, and they still have units 3 and 4. Sorry, for the dictatorship, and they still have units 3 and 4 off table. So purple is for the unit 3, yellow is for unit 4. They need 6s though, and neither of those units are coming on, so it's not looking great. Got along with one of those coming on the table. Okay, so shooting. We'll start with the RPG. Let's see if it can get a shot. It needs to roll a 3, 4, 5 or 6 to be able to get a shot off, and it doesn't, so he's probably going to sell his life. I think the tank will take a shot at the RPG base. It's about the only thing that can hurt it there at the moment, and it rolls a 10. I'll take away 2, which takes it down to 8. It goes back up to 10 because it's a tank firing. it hasn't moved, and it's within 10 inches, so that's a dead RPG. There we go. Here we have some HMG action. So I'll fire the Dictator's APG of the Toyota first. And that's going to be nothing. The Toyota firing back. So that's a 9 down to a 6. It goes up to a 7 because it's not firing at a tank. It's not over half range. It did move, it's back down to a 6. It's not an APC. The fire isn't an armed militia. So that is going to be destroyed. So things really go from bad to worse as the dictatorship's technical gets shot off the table by the Toyota MG. The recoilless rifle here probably hasn't got a shot at the tank, which just leaves the fighting in the town, sorry, in the farm. So that pinned will have come off, leaving just one pinned base which can't do anything this turn. So we'll fire 2 bases over at this base here. So the first one, and again this is going, nobody's moved here, so it's just a -1 for it being in the template. We've got an 8 down to a 7 down to a 6. That will be a kill there. Although it will be able to shoot back. And then we've got these 2 bases fighting the one in the close assault. So this time is just a straight dice roll. So the first base, nothing. The second base, 8 down to a 6. So that will kill this base, but it will get a fight back. So we'll roll that for now, and that's nothing. So that unit is wiped out. There's another base. This base will fire back here. Again, -1 to the difference, so that'll be nothing. It doesn't cause any casualties, I'm afraid. So I rather think the writing's on the wall at the moment. Actually, I didn't roll the countdown dice at the end of turn 4, which I'll do now. I do keep forgetting these things. You will have to forgive me. It's a long time since I've played these rules. The countdown dice is a 4, which takes us to 21. We're still a long way from game end as far as the countdown is concerned. But really, the dictatorship have got 2 bases of foot. In fact, the 2 RPGs and a tank left on the table, and they're rather outnumbered. So let's see what happens with morale. Okay, so the only compulsory morale test is for this unit here, who've lost their truck. Get the dice tray here. So they've got the 1 dead. They are militia. Nobody's pinned. There aren't 3 dead. They aren't in a template and they haven't got the gel, so they need to roll a 3 to pass their morale test. And they do, so the morale's okay. And then we will have a compulsory morale test, an optional morale test, which the People's Popular Front will put onto the same unit here, and they pass the test. So an optional test for the People's Popular Front will be Unit. Yeah, I think it's going to have to go down here against Unit 3. That will come off now. So they've got 2 dead of their own unit. And that's about it. They're in a template, so that goes down to 1. So basically a 2 or more, and that's a pass. That's done easily. Okay, so that is the end of the 5th turn. Start of the 6th turn, we'll roll for the off-table units again for the dictatorship. So purple is for Unit 3, yellow for Unit 4. And Unit 3 comes on. That's good timing. So Unit 3 has chosen to come on in the middle of this far table edge here, because this objective isn't held yet. And although the militia down here might well make a run for it, these 2 objectives are probably fairly solidly held at the moment. But in actual fact, this objective, the train station, might turn out to be the 30-point objective. We don't know that yet. There's a 1 in 3 chance. It could be the 30-point objective, which would make it worth as much as these 2 combined. Of course, it could turn out to be the 10-point objective, but at this stage in the game, I think the dictator has got to take that risk. So let's see what occurs then. So it's over to movement for both sides. Okay, that's turn 6 movement, just to let you know what's happened. The militia are now sprinting towards the railway station. They're sort of on a axis in between, but they're unlikely to be needed in Solace itself. These 2 militia bases from the dictatorship tried to get into the village but didn't quite make it, and the regulars from the PPF have consolidated their position within the town. The 2 trucks with the recoilless rifles have come up to take on the tank. That's the only way they can get rid of that tank realistically. There are some RPG troops around, but the best chance to get rid of it is with those truck-borne recoilless rifles. The unit of the dictator's army not allowed to move or shoot or fire or do anything really on the turn that they arrive, so they stay there. The 2 units that were in the farm, one has come out to sort of join the fight in the middle of the table, and the objective will be held by these 3 bases here. Although they'll be prone to a morale test, but we'll come to that shortly. So all that's left to do then for the rest of this turn is the shooting and the fighting. So we'll start with the attacker. Now we do have a militia base RPG armed here. The range is 8 inches, so it's over half range. The militia and the moving shooting at a tank. But let's see what happens on the die, shall we? That's a 9 to a 2, so that's a difference of 7 straight away. So that goes up to a 9. So over half range down to an 8. Fire is militia 7. Fire removed this turn down to a 6. And the target is a tank down to a 4. So just about escapes there. I thought that might be a big ask for militia RPG, but you never know. a couple more on the yellow dice there, and it would have been a successful shot. So we'll do all of the attacking armies first. So we'll do these 2 recoilless rifles shooting at the tank. Now the range for the recoilless rifles is at 18 inches, and we're just within half range there, so no penalty for that. So the left hand truck, so that's a 6, difference of 6. Recoilless rifle shooting goes up to an 8. It's not over half range, we've decided. The firer moved this turn, so it goes down to 7. Target is a tank, goes down to a 5, so that is a pin. If nothing else, the crew within that tank are feeling rather shaky. Now, can the other recoilless rifle finish the job? Now, so that'll cancel that. So we've got a 4, that's not going to work. It's going up to a 6, moved, and tank target back down to a 3, so that won't work. Okay, so these militia bases can actually be seen by these foot bases here. Sorry, I think you could see that. Because they are on the edge of the template, so they can see in to the template, and they can see to be shot at, and they count as in the open, unfortunately. So this could be good night Vienna for this militia. So let's see what they can do. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 small arm bases shooting. So we'll go 2 and 2, 2 here. So that's an 8, down to 3. Fire has moved. That's not going to work. Second one. And again, that will miss. Here to the nearest base, nearest to the camera. That's down to a 5, moved down to a 4. That's not going up anytime soon. And here to here is also nothing. So the militia have managed to escape. That's good for them. Well done. The Toyota here just didn't have quite enough movement to get round the corner to be able to see these militia, or else they might have been made short work of. But we get the return fire, so we've got militia firing small arms into a base in here. Now these do count, so this will be a -2, -1 for moving, and -1 for being in the template. That's a 7 down to a 2, that'll be nothing, and this one will fire on over here, and again 7 minus a 6 will be nothing. So the tank, before it gets pinned, will fire at this truck here. Let's see what that result is. And that's going to be nothing. That's a 7 and a 6, so a difference of 1. That won't be enough, I'm afraid. So that will conclude the firing. The militia here are too far out, as are the troops over there. So we'll go over to morale. Now the tank will have to take a morale test because it was pinned. Is that right? Any pins or kills? Yes. But the other tank is too far away for it to be really bothered. I think that's right. So we're looking at 1 not been fired on by tanks, and the other dead tank isn't within 3 inches, so that doesn't affect it. Okay, so it basically needs a 2 or more to pass, and it does. And there were no pins or casualties on the People's Popular Front side. So we're over to the optional morale test. So I think they'll put it on the tank again, and that's a pass. And I think the optional test will go over here in the farm, purely because of the amount of dead. There's 2 dead there, albeit they're in a template. So there's 2 dead bodies, which counts for 1 point on morale, and they're in a template, so basically anything but a 1. A 1 is always a morale fail in AK47 Republic, and that's a pass just about. So no change there. That's all morale done. So again, countdown, and there's a 6 off the countdown. That's good news for the dictatorship. We're down to 15 points, so there's probably still another 3 or 4 turns left, at least I would have thought. So end of turn 6, we go to turn 7, and we've still got 1 unit left to come on, which is unit 4 for the people's for the dictatorship, but they don't arrive. Okay, we'll go to movement and then come back. Okay, so movement relatively quickly. The militia have continued their move over towards the railway station, but you can see the dictatorship unit 4 that came on, sorry, unit 3 that came on, they've actually beaten the, actually it's probably a draw to be within 3 inches, but it's just an obstruction. It can't be occupied, that building, so there's going to be a royal fight over that in a minute. The Jeep armed with the HMG has come up, and that'll try and take advantage of some of these militia in the open. The tank was pinned, so can't move or fire this turn. Hence the trucks with the recoilless rifles are now stationary. We'll have a stationary shot at it. The Dictator's militia, 2 bases there, managed to get into the town, but the People's Popular Front boys are well set up in there and will be delivering some fire, including the HMG here, which is now set up, and the Toyota is touching the edge of the template, which means it can fire into the template as well. And these 3 bases here are coming to join the fight because that the farm is well and truly held. So we'll move over to shooting for turn 7. And we might as well, we'll start with the attackers as always, and we'll start in the village. So we'll start with the Toyota, which is a HMG. Just get the camera to a position where we can see some dice. There we go. So they will shoot into the village. And that's a 6 down to 5. Goes back up to a 6, but the target's in a template and the firer has moved, so that's down to a 4, so that's nothing. This small arms here, going to have to look for quite a good roll. It's a 7 down to 2, that's going to be nothing. This base here, that'll be nothing. Here to here, 9 down to 3, that'll be nothing. Here to here. 8 down to 3, that'll be nothing. HMG 9 going up down to a 5, goes up to a 6 for HMG, down to a 5 for cover, so that will pin a base, and there could be collateral here. So on a 4, 5 or 6, the base next to it is pinned also through collateral fire, excuse me, and indeed it is, so that's really bad news. Doesn't seem to be any good news in this game at all for the Dictator's army, but they may get their revenge in the next battle, in which we use AK47 reloaded. Okay, so these 3 bases here can't fire them. They can't see these troops in the town. But we do have the two recoilless rifles, so let's see what they can do on the back of these trucks at the tank, the pinned tank. Take advantage of it not being able to get a shot off on them. Need a good roll. That's an 11 minus a 4 goes down to a 7. It goes up to a 9 because it's a recoilless rifle. It's looking good so far. It's not over half range. The fire hasn't moved. We take 2 off because it's a tank. Is the target. It goes down to 7. That is a destroyed tank. So it did fight rather bravely, the crew of that T-55, but unfortunately they are no more. Now then, we have some shooting from this charge of the militia. So let's see what's in range and what's visible. So it's 8 inches range. So we've certainly got the RPG which could fire at the Jeep. Let's see if it can fire, and it can fire. So let's do that shot first from the RPG at the Jeep. It has moved and it's militia, so that's not going to be enough. That cancels out. And then of the other bases, I doubt they're going to be able to. Nothing's in range there, so 8 inches range for the small arms. So that does conclude the firing for the People's Popular Front. Now the dictatorship, so the HMG on that Jeep will be able to fire, and this will be at less than half range, so a chance to reduce the numbers within that militia unit. Let's see what they get. So they're going to shoot at the RPG base here. That's a 6 down to a 1. That's not going to be anything, unfortunately. The others can't fire. The other bases can't fire. We've established they're out of range. Now the 2 militia bases that were pinned this turn through the HMG and collateral fire, they can actually fire back before they're pinned. So let's see what happens to them. So they'll fire, might as well fire straight ahead to be sure. And that's a 4 down to a 2, nothing, and a 7 down to a 2. That'll be nothing. So disappointment again for the firing, and yeah, things haven't really improved for the dictatorship. So what we will do then is do morale. So let's do the morale for the militia. So they've got 2 pinned, each group in the unit pinned or destroyed, so that's 2, and they are militia, but they are in a template, so that helps them. So they need to roll 3 or more to pass their morale test, and they don't. And again, there was no casualties on the People's Popular Front side, so we'll put the optional morale test from the dictatorship onto these over here, and they've got 2 dead bodies. That's one part there, that's part, sorry, per 3 dead or part thereof, and there's 2 dead in that unit, but they're in a template, so it's basically anything but, and they're fine. And the optional morale test will go on the militia, and they failed again, so they're actually down to their last remaining morale point before they scarper, albeit they're pinned and on the verge of being swept away in any case. So that is morale for the turn. for turn 7. Let's see what the game countdown is, and that's another 6. So there could possibly be just 2 more turns in the game. Could be 9 if I roll 9 ones. So at the start of turn 8 we'll roll for the reinforcements for the people, sorry, for the dictatorship. And that's a 5, so they don't arrive again. Okay, we'll get back after the movement. Okay, there's movement. The militia have really swarmed over the railway station there, and they've actually run into some close quarters combat where they could reach. In the village of Solace, the unit here didn't roll enough to actually close assault, which would have been rather handy. So they'll just stand and have to blast them away as the HMG. These 3 have moved up. The recordless rifles have just stayed where they are really. There's no target for them. So we'll start this shooting, or fighting even, over here with the militia unit. And we've got 2 bases onto 1 here. There's no advantage other than the fact it's getting attacked twice. So we'll do the militia first. That's a 9 down to a 4. That's not going to be anything. The base behind there, that's a 9 down to a 6. Close assaulting goes up to a 7. Well, they aren't firing. I think that probably should count. The fire is militia. Back down to a 6, and the fire moved down to a 5. So that will pin this base here. And we'll do the other sort of close quarters fight here on the steps of the station. The militia roll a 10 to a 1. Now that's going to be a dead, I'm afraid. In fact, I'll just put a little bit of smoke on him to denote that he will be able to fight back. So that's all. Oh, and there's another one here actually, but that's going to be nothing. That was a 6 against a 6. Sorry, you couldn't see that then. So we'll do the shooting then. So bases that are in the close quarters fighting can't be shot at. But we've got this base shooting over here, small arms. That's an 8 against a 4, down to a 4, that'll be nothing. One here, just behind the back of the station, that'll be nothing. I think that's all the fighting that can be done there. So the pin, and I'll roll a 6. This is possibly looking good. A 6, they count as assaulting, which goes up to a 7. Move back down to 6. So that will be a death of a militia base, which will cause a morale test, so that might be quite handy. The dead base here will fight before it dies. And that's a 10 down to a 6. I think that might be the same actually. 7. Goes up 7 for the assault. Moved back down to 6. That's going to be another dead base. So this is really the first time that they've had such luck. This base here will fight back. That's down to 3. That won't be anything because it's moved. Yeah. So then just the regular firing. So we'll have this HMG on the truck. That could be interesting. That's a 6 down to a 5. Sorry, a 6 up to a 7 because it's an HMG. Down to a 6. That's another dead base. Crikey. Need a couple more dead bodies. There's 1. And there's 2. The This, and there could be actually collateral, so that could damage this base here. It doesn't, or this base here, which it does, so that base is pinned. So I can take that one off as a dead. And this one, no, that's only pinned, not dead. And then what have we got? This one here will shoot here. That's an 8. Goes down to 3. That won't go up any. And this base here, I think, is the only one, the other one that's in line of sight. And that'll be nothing. So that was quite a good exchange for the dictator unit that came on here. In the town then. So these two militia bases can't do anything but just stand and take the shooting. Just move that out of the way. There we go. So I'll do the HMG, truck-borne HMG into the town. So that's going to be a 6. Goes up to a 7 for being a HMG. It's not moved. We'll find it into the template. It goes down to 6. That's going to be a dead militia base. And the chance for pinning, because the pin would come off at the end of this turn, so it will stay pinned now into the next turn if it survives. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 small arm bases firing here. First one will be nothing. This one, 9 down to an 8. That is going to be the end of that unit. So that will in actual fact be the end of the shooting, because there's nothing else to shoot. And the only unit now that the dictator has got left on the table is the unit by the railway station, which is contesting it. So we have morale. So we'll do the dictatorship first, who must take a morale test. So they've had killed this turn. One dead body and 1 pin. So that's on 2. Not been fired up by tanks, guns, mortars, etc. But they do have per dead, 3 dead or part thereof. So that's 1 more. So that's going to put them up to 4 for this morale test. And they pass it. The militia have 3 dead. And they are militia, which puts them up to 4. And plus 1 for the 3 dead or part thereof. So they're on 5. So they need a 6 to pass this morale test. No. Now then, let's put the optional morale test straight onto them. So they've actually lost 2 morale points straight away. From that first contact, which just show you how brittle they are once they start losing bodies. And the optional morale test will obviously go onto the dictatorship last surviving unit. So again, we've got 1 dead and 1 pin. Then plus 1 because of 3 or part thereof. So need a 4 to pass this, and they don't. So unit 4 lose their first morale point. Game countdown after morale. A 5, which puts us down to 4. So this could be the last turn. Okay, so game turn 9 will roll for reinforcements, and they come on. What could be the very last. Let's see what they can do. So that last unit of militia for the dictator army, I said, let's see what they can do. Well, they've got to hope that the game extends past this turn, because although they've arrived and chosen to arrive at the centre of this table edge here, with a view to maybe doing the best to take the village, I don't rate the chances much, even if they got more than 1 turn. But let's see what goes on. So we will go straight to movement. So movement has consisted of basically these 2 units really intermingling and getting into that close quarter fighting around the train track, the railway station and the destroyed vehicles. The unit in the town have just moved up and consolidated their position. As I said, this militia unit that's just arrived for the dictatorship can't do anything this turn. Can't be shot at either, which is good for them. The trucks with the recoilless rifles have stayed where they are, and this unit's just moved up a little bit more in the middle. So we'll go straight over to shooting and combat. As ever, we will start with the attacking force, which is the militia. So this base here can't actually fight back this turn because he's pinned. So let's see what the roll is. Okay, so it's a straight roll for that first base, which is a difference of 3, which is nothing. It's a -1 for this base. That's a 5, that'll be nothing. Here, they were engaged here, so straight roll for the militia, nothing. Straight roll again for the militia, nothing. Here, straight roll for this militia, which is 10 down to a 5, so that will pin this unit here. And the base behind will be nothing. And then we'll have a situation of here, -1 will be nothing, -1 again. 7 down to 6, that will actually kill this base. Here, it's same, -1, 8 down to 4, nothing here. That's nothing. Okay, so the fighting back. This base will take this base on. 8 down to 7, that will kill that base. That'll be another morale test for this militia group at least. Could well see the end of them. So yes, it's a straight die roll. So the base that's been killed, fighting back as it goes, that will kill a militia base. The unit that's pinned, before it gets pinned, let's see what it does. Nothing. Oh, sorry, that was don't know why I rolled that one. We've got the HM. Oh, we'll do that in a second. Actually, this base here is nothing, and the base that was pinned again is nothing. There is actually some shooting here, so we've got two bases militia shooting at the Jeep. 8 down to 5, down to 4. Didn't move, did move down, yes, so that won't be anything. And here needs to be a very good roll note. But the Jeep with the HMG might be able to do some damage here. But no, that's a difference of 3 up to 4 now. So that's all that fighting. No shooting here. These can't be shot at this turn. That will conclude the shooting. So we'll check the morale. So the militia are probably in some quite a bad way here. So we've got 2 dead bodies and the fact they're militia to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've now got 5 dead bodies. So that's actually an extra 2 dice. So per 3 dead bodies destroyed, that's a maximum of 2. So yeah, they're going to need a 6 to stick around that unit, and they don't get it. So that whole unit of militia that came on has now routed. So there you go, that looks a little bit more tidier. Now this regular unit has also got 2 casualties, and it's taken a pin this turn. So that's 1 for the pin, 1 for the there of casualties, so they need a 3 to pass the morale test, and they do. So they will stick around for a little bit longer, that unit. Optional morale test then, so we'll put that on the same unit. And that's right, passes, yep, 3. And the optional morale test against the People's Popular Front will be this unit in the village. We're still trying to denude them, but no, they pass easily with a 6. So that is the end of turn 9. Let's see if the game ends on a 4 or more. It will, and it is a 4, so that is the end of the game. I'll be back in a minute for a little report. So the field of battle at the end of the game, then we're going to work out the points shortly, but I just thought I'd show you the carnage. So there's this huge armour fight down here with all 5 vehicles being destroyed in the end, not surviving. The train station was actually held by the dictatorship. It's their only small victory, but taking on that huge militia unit, it just shows you how vulnerable militia can be. But the town of Solace and the farm, Smith Farm, were held by the People's Popular Front. These late arrivals never actually got to join in the fight, and no doubt would have turned around, seen what had gone on. So a bloody affair, definitely, but lovely to play these rules again after so long. The next game will be practically the same forces, using the reloaded rules. The points are slightly different, so I will adjust the armies accordingly to make them legal forces under those rules, but it'll be hopefully the revenge for the dictatorship, because I'm fairly sure they've lost this game. So common to every Peter Pig game, there's a dice mechanism to decide the points, to see who's won. So here we go, we'll go through these and see what we get. And you can sometimes get the odd occasional surprise result. We like to say that it's basically how the battle's been reported back home. So the journalists don't always get it right, and although there is the old saying that history is written by the victors, sometimes that's not always the case with these games. But we love it all the same. It's a great mechanism, and it leaves the outcome in doubt right up until the end. So victory points are calculated as follows for the attacker: 3d6 for the random propaganda factor, and there's a pretty good roll, way above average already. Then for the objectives held at game end, so I did say we'd randomise this. So for the Smith Farm, a 1, 2 or 3 and it's the 10-point objective, a 3 or a 4 and it's the 20-point objective, 5 or 6 and it's the 30-point objective. And it's the 30-point objective, that's interesting. So we go down to a 1 to 3, Solace is the 10-point objective, and a 4 to 6 it's the 20-point objective. So Solace is the 10-point objective, which means the defender gets 20 points for defending the railway station, so not a complete washout for them. That's good. But the People's Popular Front have already got quite a good advance in the game. Now, if the enemy overall commander has been killed or destroyed or fled, well, I entirely forgot about the overall commanders and didn't use either of them, so we ignore that. No helicopters are down. For each enemy professional unit destroyed or removed from the table, that's none, because we didn't use any. For each enemy regular unit destroyed or removed from the table, do not count losses due to political manoeuvring. So that was 2 regular units went, and then each militia quality unit destroyed. That's 7 for the militia unit in the town. The attacker was fair and honest throughout the game, of course he was. Lucky several times, I think we have to say. Won the last game of AK47, well, I can't remember that. Each unit's painted. For each unpainted unit, sorry, -3, no. Was the player slow to carry out movement? No. And player moved his opponent's model several times without being asked. Well, I did, but there was only me playing it. So let's see what the total is there. So 3, 6, 13, 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 87 points for the People's Popular Front. Now the defenders' points are slightly different. So the defender, because it has the disadvantage of having to wait for units to arrive on the table, and in fact that last unit didn't arrive until it was too late, gets 5d6 for the propaganda factor. And that is not a bad result at all. So we've got 10, 16, 17, 18, 19. Again, the overall enemy commander wasn't used. There was no helicopters down. For each professional quality enemy unit destroyed, none. For each regular enemy unit destroyed, that was none. There was that one militia unit which was destroyed, which is worth 14 points. Interestingly, the defender doesn't get anything for the objectives. For each of the attacker's objectives held at the game's end, it gets 5 points. So although it was worth 20 points, it wasn't enough. Okay, so that's the militia enemy unit destroyed. The defender was certainly fair and honest. Was lucky several times in the game. Well, I don't think it was, but I'm going to give him 3 anyway. And the player's name was Rob. Well, I'm going to give 1 for that in memory of dear old Rob Roriston. And that's about it. So 1, 4, 7, 12, 16, 25, 2, 3, 4. So we can see that that's a 42-point victory for the People's Popular Front. And if we look at the narrative outcome, 21 points or more difference, and the victor will be writing the history book on this. Well, I mentioned the history books before, and that is certainly the case here. So what went wrong, what went right? Well, the political manoeuvring certainly got the dictatorship onto a bad footing straight away, with the People's Popular Front getting that huge militia unit, although as we saw it was very fragile and didn't last for an awful long time, and didn't really do any damage, to be honest. So maybe it wasn't that much of an effect, because although the unit that came on here into the village was just one car with a HMG and 2 militia bases with RPGs. They could have done with that unit that came on being this one. They might have had more chance, although again they were only militia. The decision to try and hold the farm may not have been right. I don't know. It might have been better to let the attackers take it and then perhaps counter-attack in a better position. Maybe could have occupied Solace earlier, so that there's at least a fight for it, because the attacker just really walked into it. The tanks were certainly held up on the flank in that armoured battle over here. Although they came out the better off for it, the lone tank that survived didn't last much longer once the 2 trucks with the recoilless rifles came on. So I'm not sure what else could have been done differently for the dictatorship. It was just one of those tough days at the office. I hope you've enjoyed this battle. It was a blast from the past, using those old army lists from BricsCon from probably 2003, 2004, something like that. It's been a real joy to play through the game again, even though it's solo due to the current lockdown, but it does show it's far better to get your toys out on the table and play with them than sit watching some rubbish on the telly. So because I've got the stuff out on the table, I will be playing AK47 Reloaded, the new version of the rules. I've read through them and it's rekindled my interest in those rules, so I will see if the dictatorship, the Sons of the Phalanx Alliance, can get their revenge and maybe get some honour back against these Marxist intervention workers. It's certainly taken some ground in the first battle of this campaign. Okay, that's enough from me. I shall see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.